This entitled parent is worried that her child is about to be corrupted. What completely normal thing is this child doing that the mother is paranoid about? Happy birthday, today's your birthday and on with the revamped show. Hey guys, this happened during my second or third year of medical college. I was on the fencing team in the APE event. One day, there was a sort of tournament in the suburbs, and I was one of the guys selected. We were each allowed to bring one guest, and the college paid for the travel expenses. My girlfriend, yeah, she's still with me, was my guest, since my parents were busy. The tournament finished and I'm sweaty and exhausted, and there was no way I was going to brave the normal crowded coaches and trains. Looking back at it, I should have done that, but since the college was paying, we went to the first class. Nothing special if you're thinking, just because the ticket is higher. There aren't big crowds, none of the amenities of the first class in the West. So, the scene is my girlfriend and I board the coach, and since I'm desperate to sit in the window and have some air blown at my face, we choose to sit opposite a lady and her kid who didn't look out of the normal, but of course, looks are deceiving. Not a second has passed since I sat my tired butt that the lady opposite to us initiated conversation. I won't bother telling you the cast. EM to me.
Hi, congratulations! I know it's your big day, but you shouldn't dress like that.
I was in a t-shirt and jeans. Of course, the t-shirt was sticking to my chest, but nothing inappropriate. Not like there was anything for her to see. I'm comfortable with what I dress in, thank you. I don't know what you're congratulating me for, by the way.
Don't mind me, I was just looking out for you. And I was congratulating you because obviously you got married to this lady today.
No, we're not married. What in the world made you think that?
What? So why is he
points to me accusatively.
Sitting next to you?
Me and girlfriend. Because she is my friend? Both of us realized where this was going, so we didn't tell our true relation.
But that's unnatural.
What is?
You're a boy, so your friends should be boys, and you should only hang out with girls. Only bimbos intermingle like that, you know.
Wow, the lady took a whole weird meaning of intermingling. Me annoyed. Well, I don't see anything wrong in it, and neither does she. Please leave us alone.
Well, you should see it's wrong. Move so your filthy ideas won't corrupt my children.
We have no obligation to move just because you want us to, and there aren't so many seats for us to move together either.
How dare you? You shouldn't be together, it's not right. Only married couples are allowed to be together, it's the law. You,
gesturing to me,
can move alone or I'll tell your parents about you two and they will beat you.
Now my parents and hers were totally fine with us being together, and anyway we were adults, so his threat didn't matter. No.
What?
You can't order us around to do what you want.
You must listen to me cause I'm an adult.
Surprise woman, so am I.
You can't be older than 16 mostly.
Listen lady, I don't want this. We're not getting down before the last stop, and we're not going to move because of you. EM knows she's defeated, so she slowly calms down amid shrieks of how our relationship is inappropriate. I think this is it, so I doze off, while my girlfriend is awake. After a while, I hear a scream and wake up with a jerk to EK trying to pull my sword bag. I owned 2 swords, from my girlfriend. I'd kept it beside me since the tip of the sword, which is blunted, was poking me in the neck when I wore it over my shoulder and wouldn't let me sleep. Back then, before I could comprehend the situation, EK throws a tantrum, following which, the EM gets up and literally slaps girlfriend screaming.
How dare you hurt my kid, you bee! He only wanted to play with those crappy toys!
One thing to remember is that though the tips of the swords are blunted, it hurts very badly if used on bare skin. That's why the tournament was allowed only to the people who had proper protective equipment, which I had in another bag. However, I was too shocked for words. And girlfriend slaps EK back, and they begin a fight that looks like Larry and the monkey in the night at the museum. Scream at me, cuss at me, I'll stay calm. I'm not easily provoked, but if you physically assault someone close to me, it's the last straw. I get between the two women, somehow get my girlfriend to sit down to prevent herself from getting hurt, pick up my sword bag, which is on the floor, and take out my baby. I run my fingers over it, bend the tip a bit, and make some stabs in the air while humming. Then I give the EM the dirtiest death glare I could muster. EM is frozen, wide-eyed looking at me, intentionally, narrowly missing her face.
You won't.
The train pulls into a small station. There are no borders, so I do my pièce de résistance and make a basic feint towards the EM. It didn't take more than that. Before I know it, the EM is fleeing the train with EK in tow and gets down to the desolate station. As the train starts to leave, the EM giving us a killing look, as right under her nose, I pull in my girlfriend for a kiss. The end. We've had a lot of people stuck on planes with entitled parents. It was only a matter of time till we got one stuck on a train. So this entitled parent kind of backed off as soon as there was a sword being swung around. Do you think if everyone just was carrying swords with them, there'd be a lot less entitled parents in the world? Or at least they would be a lot more silent? The problem is they usually think they can get away with it without there being any other consequences. I guess the threat of being stabbed kinda threw the balance off of that one a little bit. So backstory. My husband has rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, and congestive heart failure. He was born with the CHF, and the RA in lupus came into play after a bout with mono when he was 16. He is only 23. We live in a town that was devastated by Hurricane Michael back in October, and the only two remaining rheumatology doctors don't take his insurance. The nearest doctor is 2 hours away, and we can only do early morning shifts. That way we don't get stuck in traffic and end up missing it. Also, that city is an hour ahead of us. We got up at 2 AM, showered, dressed, and packed the cooler with snacks, drinks, and a few sandwiches for lunch, and left at 3:15 AM. His appointment was at 7 AM their time. We made it with an hour to spare, so we got breakfast before heading to the doctor's office. After he was called back, I went out to the car to take a nap, since I knew it was going to take some time, 30 minutes to an hour. Meet the cast. Me and the EM are obvious. We'll call my husband Liam, and his mother, who drove, Jane. I get in the passenger seat, lay the seat back and put my feet on the dashboard. About 15 minutes later, I hear a pounding on the window. I open my eyes and am greeted by a Karen. Her daughter was this cute little thing who said nothing. I rolled down my window to hear her better. Keep in mind I was not very polite with her. Yes?
You can't do that, you know.
EM stated. Do what? I asked.
Sleep in a car, like you're homeless. It's indecent and sets a bad example for my daughter.
EM explained, me being very blunt. Look lady, I've been up since 2 AM just so my husband could be here on time for his appointment. If I want to sleep in my car while I wait for him, I will.
No one gets up at 2 AM for a doctor's appointment.
You're lying.
I bet this car doesn't even belong to you.
We live in hometown, which was destroyed by the hurricane back in October. And you're right, this car doesn't belong to me. It belongs to my mother-in-law, so get lost and leave me alone. I roll up my window, put my headphones on, turn my music all the way up, and go back to sleep. She stayed there ranting about me and who knows what else until Liam texted me that they were heading out. I got up, fixed my seat, got out and locked the car. I walked past EM and went to greet them. When they saw EM, I gave them a quick rundown. Jane told us to stay back and she would handle it. We had no problem with letting her deal with the EM. She could get rid of her quicker and easier than we could have. What seems to be the problem, man?
That bimbo was sleeping in your car and setting a bad example for my daughter.
It's not her job to set an example for your daughter. That's your job. If she wants to take a nap in the car, let her.
She's too old to be taking naps, and it's only 8 o'clock.
We've been up since 2 in the morning. We're all tired, and you're never too old to nap.
Only kids take naps. People like her don't take naps. They work day and night turning tricks for any man willing to pay.
Quick side note, my mother-in-law sees me as her own daughter. She has said so herself multiple times. Even though I married her son, she basically adopted me after I moved out of my own mother's house, which wasn't a good environment. Onto the story, this is where it gets good. Jane took a deep breath as she stared daggers into the now smug EM's face. The EM was acting as if she'd won. Nope, Jane balled her hand into a fist, pulled her arm back, and decked the EM in the jaw. The EM fell to the ground holding her face, which was now going to be ruined by a nice bruise for several days to come. Never insult my daughter like that again, or you will regret it even more than you do now. She looked over at us. Come on kids, let's go to a museum. Yes, even though we're 23, she still calls us kids. As far as we can tell, the EM never called the police or got our license plate number. I think she just sulked away to lick her wounds and accept her defeat. I hope she's learned her lesson. Now, if somebody was actually homeless, and the only place they have to sleep is their car, how messed up would it be to go to that person and be like, how dare you sleep in the only place you have as an option to sleep? Because what would their alternatives be? It'd be to sleep in the street, which would be much more dangerous, And you know what? She wouldn't like that either. She probably would just rather that they didn't exist at all. There's honestly no winning with people like that. And although I don't advocate violence, it's probably the only message she actually received. They live in such a bubble that they can't understand that people live different lives from them. The concept that somebody would have to get up at 2 AM to go to a doctor's appointment, well, I would never have to do that, so of course nobody else would ever be in a position where that might be the case for them. And it's how they justify all the crazy things they both say and do. I've been a photographer for about a decade now, more as a side hustle than simply a job or a hobby, and I'm pretty good if I say so. My mother runs this yearly charity run, which I ran back when I was a kid and now help out with. I've taken photos at the event for the past couple years, which are then posted on the group's Facebook page, so every EM and ED can have photos of their precious EK and then spam the photos looking for more, or to complain that there aren't enough. In the past couple of years, the popularization of smartphone photography and the necessity of parents posting everything their precious angel has become the bane of my existence. At events like these, I've spent half the time photographing and half the time yelling at parents to get their butt out of my face when they walk in the way of taking pictures, because they have to take some shaky photo of their kid, despite the fact he's several hundred feet away. Every EP thinks they are the exception to the rule of staying behind the line when the kids are running. Now, as one can probably tell, I had my share of EPs who think that because they're members of the group that throws the event, that they are somehow special. Except that almost everyone in attendance is part of this group, which is why their kids are allowed to run. Now on to the story. I think you can guess what EM, EK, and me are. So M equals mum, and CO equals co-organizer of the event. Last year I was taking pictures of the event for free because it was a great cause and I enjoy taking pictures, just because sometimes. If it were anyone else, I would have to charge, but it's my mum and it's charity and they feed me and I volunteered to do it, blah blah blah. I traded shifts with a co-worker so I'd be able to get there early to test my camera out and get some shots of setup because it makes everyone who planned it happy to see themselves in some of the pictures. Check-in was at 6 and running began at 7, but when I arrived around 5, there was one woman, EM, and her daughter, EK, trying to sign in. The woman at the table appeared flustered, but happily went back to setting up once she had signed them in. The EM went straight to the bar after pointing her daughter in the direction of the playground, which was empty at this point. My mother rolled her eyes at the woman when I met up with her, but said nothing else. The time for the run was drawing close, and I was taking preliminary photos when EM walked over to me.
Excuse me.
She said this nicely but expectant. Yeah?
What's that?
Points to my camera. Oh, this is my camera. I'm taking pictures of the event. I knew where this was going, but hoped she'd leave me alone.
Can I play with it?
No, sorry, sweetheart. This is expensive and I need to take pictures.
But I want you to take pictures. I take pictures on my iPhone all the time.
She was like 5 or 6. No, sorry,
Sweetie, you need to ask the lady nicely to play with the camera, and then I'm sure she'll let you try it.
Sorry, this camera is a lot of money. Note, I had bought this camera less than a year ago, and it was like somewhere around $1,800 for the body alone. The lens was also worth a lot. I have to take pictures, and I'm not comfortable letting someone else use it, especially someone so young.
Well, I'll watch her, and you can watch her too.
She turned back to EK.
Now, EK, ask nicely.
Asking nicely won't change anything. Now I have to get going. I went over to Mum and co-organizer to check in with them, also hoping the EM and EK would leave me alone if I was with them. They left a little later to run the event and whatnot, so I went to the start line when I felt a hand on my arm. I turned around and found EM and EK behind me.
Excuse me, since you were so rude and you wouldn't let EK play with your camera because it was too expensive.
She put this in quotes.
The least you could do is take pictures of EK.
Having done similar things before to placate EPs. Sure, I can take a quick picture of her, but I have to go take pictures when the runners start. Your daughter should be in that wave as well.
Actually, I was thinking you could do a photo shoot with EK. I need some photos for Christmas cards.
I can take a picture, but I have to be there before the race starts. And I'm not doing a whole photo shoot for free. I can give you my business card and—
I'm not paying you to take photos of EK. You're being paid to be here.
I was not.
And if anything, you can do it for the experience.
No. Bye.
Where do you think you're going?
To do what I'm here to do?
But I need you to take pictures of EK.
Mommy, you said the lady would take my pictures.
No can do. She called after me, but the CO noticed and went to talk with her. She didn't bother me again until her precious angel started running, and she stepped in front of me to take a picture. After Kid finished and between waves, she came over to berate me about sending her all the pictures I took of EK, but the CO thankfully came over and told her that all the photos would be posted on Facebook, and everyone who provided an email would have the folder sent to them. Unfortunately, stuff like that is way too common. I feel like sometimes people see me with a camera and expect me to take pictures of them, or their kids, or their dogs, or something like that. I've been in other events where complete strangers have come up to demand photos or photo shoots, which always bothers me. That's the problem with having a skill that doesn't cost you any money in the moment you're actually doing the job. Taking that one picture in and of itself doesn't cost anything, but there's all the setup costs to actually have the equipment, or the training to learn how to use it, or all the time spent to master the skill, not to mention the labor in taking the photo itself, and any labor to actually edit the photo to improve it. All entitled parents can see is that one moment and they go, well, it's not really going to cost you anything, so why should I pay for anything? The reality is you're not entitled to anyone else's labor. If you want a service from them, you have to pay them. Now they might volunteer their labor, like the hero of our story did, but in this case, they were already volunteering it for a different purpose. Do you have a skill that people try and take advantage of to get you to do it for free? If so, what are your strategies to escape those awkward moments when people expect things from you for free? Let me know in the comments below. Submit your story to be read on the channel at voiceyherestories@gmail.com and join our Voicey veteran community at r/VoiceyHere. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode. Alright, Voicey veterans, I'll see you in the next one.